Hello, everyone. Welcome. Let's wait until everyone is in.
Arthur is some difficulty connecting the audio.
Hi, Peter. Good morning.
Hi, Peter, where's Jeff? Oh, he's muted. Sorry.
Morning, Yati. Morning, Tatiana.
Morning.
You mute everybody, Nika, except
Yes.
I want to watch one series. This is almost done. And I can't.
So,
yeah, please
let's
unmute.
start.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Good to see you all. Well, good morning for the ones in the Netherlands. Good afternoon for the ones in Indonesia. We are happy to welcome you to our second webinar on remote working in times of Corona. I would like to introduce myself as Nika. I'm a board member of the Indonesia Nederland Youth Society, and we are an organization which aim to connect young Dutch and Indonesian students and young professionals who have an interest in the relationship between Indonesia and the Netherlands. And we do this by organizing events. Now, Corona, of course, does not stop us from organizing events, which is why we are here now with this online webinar. We are doing this in collaboration with the Indo Business Club. Fajar, would you like to introduce yourself?
Okay, also from my side, good morning for those in the Netherlands and good afternoon for our Indonesian audience. Thank you for joining us. My name is Fajar Ramadhani. I'm the chairman of Indo Business Club. We are a networking organization for professionals and entrepreneurs with Dutch, Indie, or Indonesian affinity. And we provide a platform where our audience can connect together, mostly live. This is the first time we are doing a webinar, of course, due to the situation. So once again, thanks for joining us. And I will introduce Rebecca Lepard from Communication for Change, and Misty Rebecca also from Communication for Change. They are our speakers for today. And the floor is yours, ladies.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you. It's time for your breakfast, I guess, today. For us, it's already past our lunchtime, so we just had our lunch, but a lot of people are fasting. You know that it's the last week of the fasting season. So for us here, no elaborate lunches because everybody is already fasting and it's their last week. So hi, it's so nice to see you all, to be with this crowd. I'm Misty and I am here with my colleague Rebecca.
Hi, everybody.
And Rebecca is from Communication for Change. She is our general manager. I am a founder of Communication for Change. And you might wonder, like, okay, why did Fajar invite these two girls for this meeting to talk about remote working? Well, first of all, Communication for Change started in 2016. And when we started, it was already a remote working company. Yeah, so it's a communication consultancy agency. And we already started out as a remote working company. And it's been our forte since the past 4 years. And right now, nowadays, people are switching towards more remote working. And what we notice is that for a lot of people, it's quite a big switch. And that is why we gave one of our sessions, right, Rebecca? I think it was 2 weeks ago. Last month,
Oh,
right?
last month already.
Last month already.
we lost track of time.
Yeah, you know,
Good
we're
summer.
already, yes, we are already in that isolation for so long, and it had quite a lot of people joining, because a lot of people are still trying to find ways to do remote working, because as you can see, it's now not something accidental anymore, or it's not something that just happens, like, you know, it's a perk or a privilege, like just once a month I get like one day that I can work from home. But now it's your day-to-day reality, and probably after the COVID is over, it's going to be your new reality. And I hope you guys are not tired of hearing the word new normal, you know, because that's going to be something that you hear quite often.
Or next
But
normal.
yes, the next normal. Exactly. And yeah, but it's something that we actually have been living, we have been breathing remote working since 2016. And we are going to share with you some thoughts and tips, and like, how did we actually started to work remote? What was our base assumptions when we started that? And why it still works up to now? And hopefully there's something that you can get out of it, and something that you can bring along to your day-to-day activities, because right now there is no way we can avoid remote working as a constant, as something that is going to be your new reality. Even after all this is over, I'll just talk, and you know, I'll just also share a screen with you, just to make it a bit you know, you don't have to see my face the whole time. Okay, so let me just show you something. Yeah, so why did we actually decide as a communications agency, as a communications consultancy firm? Because that's when you actually need to talk to a lot of people, you meet with people. But we decided to make it a remote working office experience from day one. Of course, the biggest reason is to save time from commuting. I know that a lot of you have been to Jakarta, and you know how horrible the traffic can be, and that a distance of 10 kilometers that I can do by bike when I'm in Amsterdam, it takes me about 1.5 hours by car in Jakarta. So we wanted to save time from commuting. That's first. Second, of course, we wanted to minimize expenses. As a company that just started, we can make do without all the expenses that we need to spend for, you know, office rentals and everything that has to do with a real life office space. And third of all, we wanted to have a tech embracing approach. What do we mean by that? There's so much innovation going on to make remote working as easy and, you know, as enjoyable and as user experience friendly as possible. And we thought, you know what, let's not be you know, technically unsavvy, right? We are going to be communicators, and as communicators, let's have that tech embracing approach. Face to face is always something that we can rely on, but let's also try and the different types of tools that is out there. And let's just avoid using WhatsApp or just attachments for work emails, to have that going on the whole time as a work mechanism. So we wanted to start off with this approach. And I think that a lot of you can imagine why you want to save time from commuting, why that is something that is appealing about remote working. And of course, the minimize expenses part. But a lot of people, what I noticed is a bit, I don't know, a bit hesitant about trying new things, about trying new platforms. But that's actually something that what really works for us. And it's becoming more and more accessible for a lot of people as well. And then there's also a question that often arises, like, how do we know that people who are working on a distance, who are remote workers, how do we know if they're productive or not? right? Are they not just like, you know, sitting at home and watching Netflix while they are making my charts, right? How do I mean, are they productive or not? So I think foremostly what we, with me and Mita is the founder of Communication for Change as well. What we decided to do was like, okay, let's first determine what we mean by productivity. So productivity can be different for a lot of people. Productivity can mean like, hey, you know what? My employees are logging in more hours. That's quite productive. When they are working from home, they log in more hours than when they're in the office. Well, some people find that productive. What about meeting submission deadlines? A lot of people are like thinking about, you know, that is something that we call productive, being on time with our deadlines. I don't know how you do it, as long as you're being on time, or achieve more work in fewer hours, you know. So those are things that a lot of people, you know, think or define as productivity. I think that from day one, Communication for Change really didn't see those things as their definition or our definition of productivity, because for mostly, we don't think that when you have logged in a huge amount of hours, that doesn't mean you're productive. Yeah, so even though you think about remote workers, like, you know, you have a lot of free time, you don't need a weekend. Well, we do need a weekend, because we do take working hours seriously. So it's not that, you know, we still want to be working on a conference call at 12 a.m. when it's time to sleep, when we can actually arrange and make it so and manage the project so that it's something that is manageable within the working hours. So that is why, yeah, I'm just going to stop sharing here and maybe pass it on to Rebecca. What do you, she's now the general manager of Communication for Change. What she is experiencing in the day-to-day work is, of course, the kind of productivity that she needs to aim and that she needs to reach for is something that is especially challenging in these times. So Rebecca, what is, I'll just pass it on to you.
Sure. I think if we go back to thinking why remote working is the way forward, I think from now on. So first of all, we often say these days, when this is over, eventually when this is going to be over. I honestly don't think there's such thing as over. Because maybe a couple of months ago we still see that eventually this will be over after the summer, after whatever. But yeah, the word new normal or next normal. So even Twitter, a couple of days ago, the CEO announced that from now on, even when it is possible for us to commute or to travel again, people can still choose to work from home.
Yeah.
And I think what is important here as well, especially for you who runs business and or who are decision makers of businesses, you can now rethink if this is the better way to go, then why not? Because really, my personal experience since I was a fresh graduate, I just refused to commute. I always move from one kos-kosan to the next kos-kosan. Just to be closer to work. I always walk to work. So I always, carry around my laptop from my home to work, and that has been my success, because you don't waste your not only time but energy. Because really, just even thinking about, oh, the train is gonna go at this o'clock, So it means I have to be there. So I have to rush. I have to all sorts of things. So the mental load is immediately striking out when you don't have to commute much. And then productivity wise, I think nowadays, because there's a lot of tools to measure your productivity, it's not about who can write the longest email or the longest document. It's no longer about who makes who clocks the longest hour. If anything, in communications for change, if every day we work until late, we're being questioned. Like, why aren't you managing yourself so that you can really work until 8 hours? So no matter how early or how late you start, but you clock in not more than 8 hours.
Yeah.
More than that, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
You know. So that is a completely different shift from the norm or the culture, especially here in Southeast Asia, where you don't go home until your boss is out of the office, right? So yeah, I guess the mentality of business owners or managers in the whole world now, you really have to think. In general, we now have to rethink, oh, apparently we can live without so-and-so. And now we see after a couple of months, we can actually, well, some of us, of course, not every single profession is applicable, but wow, we can live without office buildings. We can live without, fancy elevator, or now the luxury is when you can actually have one quiet room in your house where you don't have your kids or your pets coming down and clamor. So I think the mental shift has to be there before we apply all the other tips that we're about to share you. I think we can share the slide again, Misty.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Totally true what Rebecca was saying, and it's also relating to the subject of I'm going to share something again with you guys. So again, when we posed the questions about productivity, right? Because the question was, is remote working productive? I mean, will people actually be working, or are they just going to be like, baking bread and finishing another episode of Casa de Papel, like it's always a question, right? And again, like what I said before, it is a definition that you need to set for yourself, with your colleagues, with your team. And as Rebecca also pointed out, you have to also make sure that the mindset is there to think about remote working as a way of working that is especially urgent now. And for us, just to give you an idea, what we think is, our definition of productivity, it is accountability. That is what we define as, so accountability here is what we define as our term of type of productivity. This is when you are accountable, then you are productive. What does accountability mean for us? I mean, of course, you've heard about accountability quite often, I think. But for us, it's these two things. These two things are very important. There's clear ownership of the outputs, right? And there is trust in the owner to deliver the output independently. So there's nobody breathing down your neck like, hey, every 5 minutes, like, are you watching Netflix or are you working, right? So there is always that trust in the owner of the output that he or she will deliver independently. And there is a clarity of ownership of who is owning this project, who is responsible for it. right? So if that is clear, there's no such thing as, you know, I think you guys know the word gotong royong. Maybe if you're, you know, if you're from Indonesia Business Club, Indo Business Club, and I think you have probably heard about the word gotong royong that is so typical about Indonesians, right? That, you know, helping each other out, supporting each other. Well, I'm sorry, but at Communication for Change, when you are accountable, we are not expecting everyone like, ayo, gotong royong, help each other out. No, because then nobody knows who is responsible for each task. And especially when you are working remotely, you need to be able to know, okay, you were the one responsible for that task. So I trust that you will deliver that independently, right? So I'm sorry that in this case, you cannot rely on the Indonesian gotong royong principle. Okay, so that's not going to work.
Yeah, although
It
in
sounds a
crunch
bit
times,
hard. It sounds very hard, but it is.
yeah,
It is how
I think Southeast Asian mentality is it's completely opposite of you know, one man for himself kind of thing. But even when we're working on one project together, we still divide either steps like conveyor belt. You know, okay, after I work on this, and then you work on this, and then he or she will work on this. So it's clear in the face. Or we're working on one document, and then each person, you know, the finance lady will be responsible on the budgeting subsection, and this you know, write up is the subtask of this person. So even when we are on gotong royong mode, there is still a master of each subtask, and there's still the owner of the whole thing, who will be, you know, like, come on guys, you know, this is all done, all the chapters are done except for this chapter, which is his or her responsibility.
Yeah.
So there's no dropping off the ball.
Yeah, sure.
Even when, you know, you don't have you know, sometimes we hear stories, I don't know if it's true, but it's like your boss, because it's remote working, your boss put like a CCTV on your house, or even like, okay, you have to check in every morning, every 2 hours over Skype. I don't know who uses Skype anymore, but
yeah,
a lot of people still micromanage that way. But for that situation, my advice to you is you report before you get asked. So you tell your boss, client, whoever, maybe it's not that they don't trust you, maybe they have to learn the new dynamic. Therefore, you kind of educate them how to navigate this remote working situation. So in the morning, before people ask you, you report first. You say, hi guys, this is what I'm going to do today, and this is what I would like to achieve by the end of this week. Therefore, I need so and so to do whatever by when.
Yeah.
You know, and before end of day or before end of week, you also then again check in with your team, with your client. Hi guys, now I'm starting to sound like a YouTuber saying hi guys. But yeah, you're the one who raise your hand and say, this is the progress and this is what I'm waiting on, or please review my document because I need it by. So you're the one who's proactive, and therefore eventually trust is built. They know that even though you don't have a GoPro camera on your head just to prove that you're not in front of Netflix, you know that task or deliverables are being delivered.
Yeah, true. So I can only add to that, Rebecca, that again, making sure that you don't need anyone to monitor your work or making sure that you know who is responsible for which task. That comes to accountability. And I think that the most important thing before you start with anything, with tools, or with starting with, you know, trying out new ways of remote working, is making sure that you build on that culture of accountability. This is something that Mita is also sharing with us all the time, and that's how you can make this work for a long term. So not just for, like, you know, a short-term thing, because hey, you know, remote working is just once a week. But this is now something that is going to quite, you know, it's going to extend until quite a long time. And I just want to screen share again real quick with you guys. So when we talk about the culture of accountability, right? What does that actually mean? How do we build and how do we nurture a culture of accountability? So most important is to provide a clear SOP. So a standard operating procedure, it sounds very mechanical, but once you put that down, you know exactly when to do what and with who. So it doesn't have to be very detailed, or it doesn't have to be like very rigid or strict, but as long as you can actually layer it. Like for instance here, what I call, there's a 3-layer that we have discovered, or what works for us at Communication for Change. First of all, you have a clear SOP on the projects and outputs. Like for instance, what Rebecca also mentioned earlier, who is the owner of this project, who will be the reviewer. So there's no such thing as like, oh, you know what, gotong royong, let's all chip in, you know, like that doesn't work, guys. If everyone just chips in, and you have nobody that is responsible for a certain task. So you have to have a clear SOP for the projects and the work and the outputs exactly. So you know who is the owner of the project and who will be reviewing it, and you know when you should be able to review it, when you should be able to revise it, right? And then you have to have a clear SOP for the day-to-day. Like Rebecca already mentioned earlier, you have to check in just every morning. So it makes it a bit more human. Check in every morning. And then at the end of the day, check out with each other. And you can use that. Don't use WhatsApp, guys. WhatsApp, just keep it for your personal, you know, for your personal life. Don't use it for work, okay? So for work, use something else so that you can
WhatsApp
check it.
is gossip only, yeah?
Yeah, WhatsApp is for gossip and for hoax, right?
And memes.
For WhatsApp groups. So yeah, so you need that kind of SOP, right? Checking in every week. That's what we did at Communication for Change. We had the face-to-face meeting every week. So we have like weekly lunches, right? So it's not that we all just never meet. We do meet, but nowadays that's just not possible. But we meet once a week, have lunch together. And so that was our day-to-day type of SOP. Like we have weekly meetings, face-to-face. We do check-in and check-out every day, right? And of course, we do have a check on our goals and targets that happens monthly. That's something that we need to always review. Did we reach certain monthly targets? So you just make sure that that's also being SOP'd, right? And of course here, you need to have the communication. How are you going to communicate with each other? What do we do when somebody is not online? What do we do when somebody is not reachable? Do we call or do we email? You know, like stuff like that. Make sure everything is clear. And what's also important to make it human, because SOP sounds so mechanical, guys, but make sure you also celebrate victory and milestones, and just don't ever try to think like you should have done that or you should have done this. Try to make sure you find a solution first, and then you evaluate what has happened that was wrong. But first of all, try to find a solution first without looking back thinking, hey, that was wrong, I think you should have done that, and you shouldn't have talked to that, and you shouldn't have done this, because then you waste time on emphasizing on a mistake instead of finding a way out of that mistake. right? So I think that this is something that we have been working on for quite a while. So it's still a work in progress for us. I mean, it's still a learning for us, and especially now, even though we have been working remote for a while now. The thing is that it is for us also something new to go through this pandemic, because the new thing about it is that now we are now on the same boat, right? And so how do we learn from this still, even though it's something that is so familiar to us? Because of course other things come to play, like, you know, mental health, like the things that we thought, you know, remote working is fine, but we still can get out there and connect. But that's also not working right now. Something that we need to learn, you know, something that we need to learn still, right? So yeah, Rebecca, do you have anything else to add to the, you know, making sure everybody stays sane in communication?
Well, there are two things that I'd like to add on to this. First, about the communications. I think we have to also more and more understand that different channels of communications serve different purposes, and therefore require different type of response. For example, if you need something super immediate, you use the instant messaging. Your organization has to decide if you're going to use Slack, if you're going to use Google Chat, or you're going to use Telegram. Whatever it is, you have to agree that that is the, you know, fast responsive channel. And then there's email, because sometimes you think, okay, better I email or better I just quickly chat, right? So for things that don't require a response that is within the hour, use email. And also for yourself, turn off email notification. That will give you, you know, that will add years to your life, I promise you. Because checking your email, and then, because with email comes, you know, great responsibility to answer properly, to read the attachment and whatnot. And that gives you such a burden to then, you know, have to respond to that immediately. So turn off your email notification and give yourself a schedule when to check your email: in the morning, in the afternoon, and before the day ends. That's it. So, but then you communicate it to your colleagues and even to your clients that, hey, for a quick turnaround, for a quick response, just text me via whatever that you agreed upon. Yeah. But for something that is about deliverables, you know, about contract, something like document that doesn't have to be like right now, use email. So therefore, you and your colleagues and your clients, your partners are in the same, I guess, schedule. You know when somebody's emailing you, you know that the other party also don't expect you to then immediately reply. So that has to be understood and then applied. And the other one about sanity is, I think me and my colleagues at C4C, sometimes when we know that one of us is feeling really down, we would schedule a stupid call just to talk about nothing, you know, just you know, teasing each other and make each other laugh, or talk about soap opera, what's the latest stand-up that you just seen, you know, something that you would do over lunch in real life, you know, or talking about your boyfriend and things like that. Because if you're constantly on work mode, you're gonna be so strained and drained at the end of the day. You won't last till Friday, I promise you. So yeah, keep the human side as well. I mean, don't. Yes, be productive, be accountable, but you're not a robot.
True.
I guess that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I think if you guys have any questions, you're free to then after the last slide, we can all chat, because I think this is only less than 20 of us. Yeah. Okay, then we can go to the next slide.
Yeah. So yeah, so in addition to what, wait, let me just resume share right now. Hold on, guys. Okay. So yeah, just to keep everybody in check, but also not work-wise, but also in terms of, you know, sanity and having that feeling of bonding, because a lot of people were also asking about how can you bond with your colleagues when you're always working remote, right? How do you have that connection?
Yeah.
And you know, the activities like what Rebecca just mentioned, I mean, that's one of those great activities, right? I know about a couple of working teams, remote working teams, who every week, you know, they share a playlist. Like, okay, this is my playlist, and this is like a playlist of music that you can work on, So it's not, you know, like the high tempo energy one, but like work music. And every week they share like their playlist. So that's stuff like that. You know, you can also do like those happy hours, you know, but then via Zoom happy hours. I think you have I think I've heard about my Dutch friends doing a Zoom borrel vrijmibo on Zoom, so you know, like stuff like that. And those things can be built, and it is possible to have that even though you are working remotely. Yeah, to have that session of bonding and to have actual support and the actual presence, even though virtually, from your colleagues.
Oh, can I share an actual experience?
Yes,
A couple of
please.
weeks ago, I had one of the worst days, right? And of course, you don't always have a good hair day. There are bad hair days. And because of our regular check-in, we normally share, oh, I didn't sleep well last night. Oh, I have a toothache and stuff like that. And in C4C, we're not remote working even like just a few kilometers apart. We're like, some of us are not even in the same province. And then one night I had a cake delivery. I didn't even know who it was from, and apparently it was from my colleagues at C4C trying to cheer me up. And I think that's something beautiful. That is something that that you can still do. I think one of you is already inspired to to send you know, a care package. You know, if you know your colleague is has a headache, and then you send over some painkiller or something, you know, something silly like that. It's not like they cannot buy it themselves, you know, but to show that you're still human, that you're not just another algorithm in their life, you know. So that's something sweet that happened unprompted, and it's really, really wonderful.
Yeah, true. And well, in addition to that is that we all are, even though like what I said, in Communication for Change, we are quite familiar with remote working, because that's our core. That's that's what we're built upon. But still, we are finding still new ways of how we can connect better, especially amongst each other. And let me just resume the share. Okay, so just let me share again with you the slide. Like, okay, so that's what we discussed about, like culture of accountability, that for us is productivity. Productivity is for us having that strong culture of accountability, because based on that accountability, you are able to build on your work, you are able to build on your bonding and communications amongst each other, and also with the clients, of course. So that's how you can actually build your trust and build your ownership of all the tasks that is needed and all the things that need to be done. And so we actually explained a little bit. So we're now, I think, a couple of minutes away. I just want to share with you, oh, hold on. I just want to share with you about how our thoughts about how COVID-19 is affecting the remote working conditions. And I think that what I heard from my friends who are in Holland, that teleworking is actually a perk, something that is being, or if people are already familiar with it. But right now it is now something that is not considered a contingency anymore, or just a perk, something that you can just do, like, okay, a couple of days a week, and but the normal is going to the office. So right now remote working is going to be the next normal, and it's not going to be considered anymore as just a contingency or a perk. It is something that is going to be a reality for a lot of companies. And that is something that a lot of people need to be prepared for. Also, but another good thing is that there is now people who are already working in teams together, the remote teams, and even distributed teams. So, I mean, a lot of people are now familiarizing with the phenomena that you don't have to be confined in one space to be working with one another. So you can just actually be in different locations and collaborate. And that way you can actually find good talent, because sometimes you have excellent talent that you actually really want to work with, but unfortunately the location is making it difficult for you to hire them. But if you're using or applying the distributed teams system, it doesn't matter where a talent lives, right? Talent may live, like, you know, in another country or in another area, but you can actually still be working with that talent when you are willing to work in a distributed teams. So I think that's also the next step forward, especially after or during this pandemic, that a lot of people are going to set up these remote teams and distributed teams, and they are going to be able to, they will be enabled to work together. And then third is about how are we going to use office space nowadays, right? There will be definitely a redefinition on how office space will be utilized. I've seen so many ideas, and I've seen so many thoughts popping up about how office space is going to be used. Like, for instance, office space will now only be used to have a productive team meeting. But, you know, for individual work, you don't need to go to the office anymore. Like, for instance, something like that. Something that actually needs a face-to-face interaction, perhaps like a brainstorm. Then an office will be opening its doors so that you can have that brainstorm. But it's not something to, you know, actually log in. You just locate yourself at a desk, and then that's it, right? So there will definitely be a redefinition of how we are going to use office space. Perhaps we're going to be seeing a much more of co-working spaces, because you know, with what we see right now is when people actually meet together face to face, that's when we need to have this office space to gather. But other than that, a lot of people are now just tuning into teleworking, remote working, setting up these remote teams, and setting up these distributed teams. So I don't know, maybe somebody already at Indo Business Club is already having this distributed team. So they have like the head of the production is located in Amsterdam, but the managers are in Jakarta or in, you know, I don't know, in Paris, right? So maybe you guys are already much more experienced in this, but this is how we see the next step forward in remote working, and why it is so important to keep on delving and keep on developing this accountability culture, the culture of accountability, so that we can actually be more prepared for what's coming next. And yeah, I think that's my time. I think we're already past our time, but let me just show real quick about Communication for Change. You can find us, of course, we have our website. You can also check out our IG for some tips. And if you want to practice your Bahasa Indonesia, we have some nice tips there in Bahasa Indonesia. Rebecca, maybe you have something you want to add?
Yeah, I think you can also shoot out questions to us, either, you know, in general about how to manage remote teams, or in communications in general. We now we are even more confident that we can offer online consult to you guys worldwide.
Yeah, definitely. So, so Nika, is there? I think we are. You know, we already covered about the what is the way. How do we Communication for Change? How do we apply remote working, and what is productivity for us? Perhaps there are some questions, Nika, that.
Yes, I see that Sari has a question. Please, Sari, speak up.
Thanks. My name is Sari Latif, and I actually work for Indonesia Dutch Business House Social Enterprise. And Fajar is actually, I don't know, are you my boss, my client? But thank you so much, guys. I think it's a very, very good presentation, what you guys have given. And as I was just listening to you guys, because IDBH Senso is quite new. It's a startup in Indonesia. It's in the health sector. I won't go into the detail of our business, but I think I just want to highlight about the remote working condition. I was just thinking the other day, it's like, well, actually this is our virtual office now. You know how we have virtual offices as a co-working space, but I think this is now the real virtual office where we're always working, you know, virtually. But you brought quite a great points in terms of boundaries and effectivity in the way we work. But there's some things that I have to disagree. It's only because it's applicable to our companies because of the time zone. So all our three bosses or advisors. So Fajar is an advisor in the business development. Actually, my colleague Gita is also here on the conversation. So yeah, we have three. All our advisors are actually in the Netherlands. So as you know, there is 5 hours of of a time zone time difference. So sometimes our working hours is actually like, it could go to up to really late. It's not because of not able to be effective, or you're stretching out the time, or I'm working or watching Netflix, though I do for a go-to, because we don't have the luxury to go outside, or to break the day. So yes, Netflix or YouTube or what have you is in there. But I think there are times that working or getting some information can be like stretched out at night, because we are a startup as well. We have to be agile and change a few things. So I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure whether that could be a parameter of whether it's effective or not. But I do understand what you're saying, and also just when they want to send packages and things like that. I think when they come to Indonesia, we'll make sure they'll bring us stacks of chocolates for us to kind of like get us going for the next trip. So, I mean, I think I love the fact that we are doing remote working now. And like you said, Rebecca, I hear you jumping from one Costco sign to another, depending on where, the office is going to be. I think this is the best new thing, but I do want to ask you guys for tips, because as much as I love working remotely, I don't know how to handle the distraction from the fridge, because I think I've put on more weight now than I've ever been. So how do you guys handle that? Because mental is fine, and yeah, I know we can do online, you know, exercise and things like that. But how do you guys handle those kind of things now with the COVID situation happening? Because one thing that is good about being able to commute or even walking, right, Rebecca, you still get that exercise, you know. So maybe we all, I'm just thinking, as you guys gave me a few ideas, maybe all of us should do a online within the company and online exercise together, you know. So that would be a good team you know, activities. So how do you guys handle those?
I think Misty can guide us, can give us
Yeah.
kind of advice.
She's been climbing fences, crying
Yeah.
out loud.
Okay,
Did
so
some triathlon.
so yeah, I think that's it. I mean, I feel you, Sari. I mean, I've been like making the walk to my fridge is like my own exercise. It's like back and forth per day can be 1 kilometer, right? Like, oh, you know, open it. Maybe just for opening it and just for looking. I think I already wasted a lot of electricity to do that, you know.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's you know, you just walk there and like just open it and just, you know, scan and browse, and then you just close it again without getting anything out. But most of the time I get anything out. But I totally understand what you're saying, and it was hard for me because I like outdoor sports. You know, I like to run outside. I'm not a treadmill person. So that's one of the things I've kind of missed. Although you are allowed to run outside, but now if you are into like group gatherings and sports that you do with a group, then it's kind of challenging to do so. And I try to kind of keep the same rhythm as what I had before pandemic. So when I wake up at 6 a.m., for instance, to do my exercise outdoor, because in Jakarta, you can only do like cycling outdoors, it's before the macet time, before the traffic jam time, right? 7 a.m., it's not doable anymore in Sudirman, right? So I try to keep that rhythm, but instead of going to Sudirman, of course, I just try to have like some runs around my block, you know, even though it's kind of boring. I totally get you. It's very boring, but I just try to keep up that routine. And I try to also learn other things, because right now a lot of people are also giving out classes online. And, you know, all the things that I never really tried before, I kind of want to try it, right? So I've never done any Zumba dancing before. So, you know, I just signed up for a class, right? So, I mean, those are the things that I would never have done before the pandemic, because I was already busy doing my own sport. So those are two things that you might do. So my tip is like to keep you know, to keep that routine going that you already have before the pandemic. And second of all is to try something new. That's something you would never even thought of doing. And yeah, for me that was, and now the next thing I want to try is like, you know, the dance thing. It's oh yeah, what is it called? Pole dancing thing. Even though I don't have a pole at home, I don't have a pole. But you know, there's such a thing as online pole dancing, and I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna give it a try, right? So you just break out of the routine of walking to your fridge, right? So I try to do that. So those two things, keeping my routine in check, even though I have to replace it with something maybe a bit more boring, like, you know, running around my block instead of you know, cycling to Sudirman. And second is trying something new, maybe like once or twice a month, or yeah, like something that is totally crazy. But you know what? This is the time to do it, because you're at home and you just need to click on a link, and then you can suddenly you're in a class doing pole dancing, right? So I think it's an opportunity to do now, because otherwise, if we were not in the pandemic, you have to actually make an effort to go to a pole dancing club, and sometimes you just don't want to do that, right? So now it's an opportunity to learn something that is totally new. So yeah, that's my tip.
And from my side, actually, I haven't been bored eating, as in eat because I'm bored. I have been stress eating, I have to say, because well, I don't have to explain what stress eating is, everyone, But before my stress eating period, my go-to tip is water everywhere. So in my home, we have a multitude of water bottles everywhere. So before you physically get to the snack package, you get to the water first. And also,
yeah, good idea.
another tip is in the fridge on your eye level, fruit already cut up. So I open a fridge, a bowl of papaya. I open a fridge, a bowl of pear, ready to eat. So I think, and it's taught in Communications for Change, we have actual class on how to change social behavior. And I know that most things are done not because of logic, but because of emotion and because of access. So if you have easier access to fruit instead of chocolate, you would just eat the fruit first, right? And if you have access to alcohol, that's another story. That will relieve both the stress and the other stuff.
Those are great life hacks, Rebecca and Misty. Great tips. By the way, I have another question.
So you'll never know if this is water or vodka.
Gin.
Or gin. Yeah. I mean, I think we have to, one of our colleagues in C4C said that during this is a crisis, right? And the fact that we're still living and breathing and have the luxury of opening our fridges, it's a luxury, right? But then you also have to then choose your battle. Do you want to keep your fitness, your body, your appearance, or you want to keep your sanity? Because and like in my husband's case, because he chose to still be alive, he didn't comment on my stress eating. So you have to choose your battle, because it's not about remote working as well. For those of you who live with another adult, that's another battle, in the house.
Another challenge.
Yeah, that's another challenge. You have kids in the house, that's another challenge.
Yes,
so
and I have another question from Peter here.
Go ahead.
He's asking, how do you keep the balance between your private life and your work life when you're working from home?
Yeah.
How do you guys go with that? Or do you have any tips or advice on that?
I have one radical advice for you, Peter. Don't sleep in the same room with your partner.
During this COVID?
Seriously, because here's the thing. Here's the thing about cohabitation. Whether you're married or not, I mean, marriage is just a letter. But living with a partner, it's always, especially if it's a long-term thing, it's always I love you this minute, the next minute I want to kill you. Even with your kids. Any of you who have kids, you want to, you kiss them one minute, the next minute they do something and you want to just, shove them back. So I think for me, it's good to compartmentalize. I live in a small house with, with my family and with 3 kids. So I have my own bedroom. And this is where I keep my office, my makeup and everything. And this is my area. And my kids have their area. My husband has his own kos-kosan upstairs. I call it his kos-kosan because it's where he plays his guitar, his whatever music. Because otherwise, you you cannot expect you live with someone who has the same taste in music, in film, in anything, in food. So if you're allowed to have different food orders, of course you're allowed to have your own area. But then you have to commit during meal times, you're there with your family. Breakfast, lunch, dinner with your family, phone down, computer off. That's my personal tip, that is what I do. Because it would piss me off if I'm saying something and then my husband is looking at his phone, you know, or laughing, or we're in the same room together and he's suddenly laughing out loud because of some, you know, funny videos that he is watching. And I'm like, why am I here? You know? So compartmentalize as much as possible. When you're in meal times, no gadget, talk with your family. And when you're at work, then they will, in my case, they automatically respect you, because when you're together, you also respect them that way.
Yeah,
I would
think
try
that-
to tell my wife we are not going to sleep together again. Let's see what happens.
But don't tell me, that's the tips from Queen of England, you know? Queen of England doesn't sleep with with Prince.
Let's see if it's comparable with the Queen of the Netherlands.
Yeah.
yeah. Indeed.
Okay.
Well,
Any other question, Nika?
Yeah, because it's already 2 p.m. Oh my gosh, time flies.
if there is another question from the audience, please speak up.
Okay.
And if not,
Yeah,
otherwise we will end.
I just want to summarize if there's no question anymore. So what I pick up from your session, ownership is very important. I agree with that. Another thing is also trust and communication is really key with what you call the distributed team, because this is what my company IDB Sense of really have. We the three gentlemen are in the Netherlands, and Sari, Gita, and Risi are in Indonesia. So we're trying to find kind of optimal working flow with different time zones. So yeah, I do get a lot of tips. So and you also need to have a culture of accountability. This is something new especially for Indonesian, I think, compared to the what we have here in the Netherlands. Micromanagement is a no-go. I agree with that. And also, you know, it depends on your type of work. I think micromanagement is no-go at all. I do like the tip about separating the channel, your communication channel. WhatsApp is for private and use, for example, Slack for anything else. Yeah. Because it keeps you focused on, okay, I turn off my WhatsApp for now. And just use my Slack because I'm in the working modus now. That's a good one. And of course, we need to add fun to, you know, to keep the organization bonding. That's yeah. I used to send funny things to the group, and vrijdagmiddagborrel, the Dutch way of have a Friday afternoon drinks, but the afternoon in the Netherlands is the evening in Indonesia. I rather to use the Indonesian time then, so the afternoon in Indonesia, then we can start drinking in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm sending you a budget for the Friday alcohol consumption.
Right. So Fajar, do you know how you can make it more fun? Your vrijdagmiddagborrel.
What's that?
Is when you ask somebody just to dress a bit differently, so you know you can see somebody they're different. Like this is my working glasses, and this is my vrijdagmiddagborrel glasses. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's how you make it more
That's good one.
fun. So
Yeah,
you don't
yeah.
have to get dressed. You accessorize. You just have like your vrijdagmiddag bottle glasses and your hat or
Agree.
earrings, you know. And then it's a totally different vibe already on your Zoom call for the vrijdagmiddag bottle. So yeah, that's a tip.
Okay, good one, good one. So, ladies, Rebecca and Misty, thanks again for your really nice presentation.
Thank
So
you.
I hope the audience also can learn a bit about the proper remote working of the new normal. Yeah, Nika, do you have something else to add?
No, I don't have anything else to add. I think you pretty much said it, and ladies as well. I think we can end the session here, right?
Yeah.
Shall we take a group photo?
Yes, let's go for it.
Okay, turn
do I
on
do that?
everyone's camera.
Wear your cute glasses if you have one.
Cute glasses.
Oh my
Wait,
gosh. I
I'll
should
wear a
have
hat.
bunnies.
Okay, please turn on your camera.
And then we'll do. Nika, will you make the screenshot?
Yes, I will make the screenshot.
Oh my gosh!
Oh,
she has
Peter,
it.
Peter.
Woohoo! Okay, wait.
I'm gonna wear mine too then.
Oh my god, I have to get one.
Oh.
I don't have
There we
glasses,
go.
so I'll wear a hat.
Oh, Peter, you're ready. So,
I'll take my
Oh,
glasses
wow.
now.
It has lights.
yeah, we have a
Amazing.
winner. We have a winner.
We have a winner, guys. Totally. This is how your vrijdagmiddag
Guys,
looks like.
I have the best party glasses.
All right.
Okay, then.
Wow.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Okay,
One,
one,
two,
two, three. Yes, got it.
Yes.
Yay!
Okay, I'll save it somewhere.
Thank you, everybody.
everyone.
Okay, and see you next
Thank you,
session.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Nice. Okay.
Okay, Rebecca and Misty,
Thank
you so much for the
Thank
session.
you.
Hope to see each other maybe once.
Bye.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.